You're going to talk to a villager, you're going to walk up to them, and you're actually going to have an option in the dialog box for trading resources. And a screen is going to pop up where they're going to offer you anything from 1 to 5 random items in their pockets. If you hover over the item, if the price is right, you can barter, and it will be good to go. Hello everyone, my name is SoopaKoopa, and welcome back to the Nintendo Didn't So We Did podcast. And now we're going to move on to our next topic, which is going to be bartering. Now, it's important to know what bartering means. What they do in a lot of Eastern cultures is somebody will walk up as a customer and say, hey, how much for this? And they're like, oh man, you've been eyeing that item since you walked in. You know what? I think I'd like 30,000 bells for that. And the person who's the customer is like, oh my gosh, that's so expensive. I don't know if I can pay that. How about 10,000 bells? And then the shop owner will be like, are you trying to rob me blind? No way, no way. Let's make a compromise here. How about 25,000? And then basically it goes back and forth until you make a deal with something that sounds reasonable both to the store owner but also to the customer, the buyer, right? So basically it's trying to find a way to find a compromise to a price that works for you. And that is bartering, haggling, all this stuff. We'll talk about it, and let's talk about these important terms. Number 1, bartering. To barter means to trade a resource with a villager that does not require bells to obtain. How about the word price? The word price in this game, it's the cost it takes to obtain the offered item that you or your villager are trying to barter. This can be a single item or an item of multiple quantities. So this is basically your bell substitute. It's a price of, it can be 30 wood or 1 crafting recipe for an example. Now what about the term haggling? This is probably something you're familiar with, but this is a way to negotiate terms with your villager or your villager with you to get the item for a fair price through both parties reducing or increasing item quantities. Now what about the term hold? This is basically a way to temporarily pause a barter request until the appropriate price can be obtained to initiate the barter. So say I don't have enough resources to initiate the trade, but I do still want this trade, I'm going to hold the trade. And finally, to deny. This is pretty self-explanatory. I don't want this trade request. I'm going to cancel it and it won't be available anymore. You can cancel it because it just flat out feels unfair or you don't want it. Now, villagers who have been denied may react very negatively, like I mentioned, to this denial and may, and actually will, I'll say, disable their trades for a while. Bartering in Animal Crossing is going to be basically a way of resource trading. And this has been a thing that's been in the game since day 1 in Animal Crossing. You walk up to a villager, they want to trade you an item, and then you trade with something in your inventory. Pretty simple. But bartering in this game is going to take it a step further because there's going to be a way to access items without having to use bells. So instead of trading bells with the villager, you're going to be able to trade a bunch of resources options that villagers are going to desire in this game. So there are 2 ways to initiate a barter. Number 1, you can initiate a barter with your villager. So it's something that you talk to your villagers about, hey, I want to make a trade with you. And there's going to be a process to do that. And also, the second way to initiate a barter is one that a villager initiates with you. This is the kind of barter that's already in Animal Crossing when a villager pings you and you walk up to them, you interact with them, and they say, hey, like I have my sea bass, will you trade me 1,234 bells for that? And I will tell you this, some villagers will offer you some pretty bad trades. I mean, they want to shyster you for sure in this game. They might be a little bit mean to you when you offer them a bad trade in return or when you don't want to go through with a trade. So be ready for some crazy new interactions with villagers. So we're taking this one step further from how this works in the game now. So this is a way to just put a cap on the trading and the bartering system. All right, let's go back to our document today and read this together. This is going to be how you can barter with both your villagers, something that you initiate, but something that your villagers can initiate too. So let's get into it now. All right, how you initiate a barter. This is how it's going to work. Number one, we're going to talk to a villager. You're going to walk up to them, and you're actually going to have an option in the dialog box for trading resources. And a screen is going to pop up where they're going to offer you anything from 1 to 5 random items in their pockets. If you hover over the item, if the price is right, you can barter and it will be good to go. You can choose to haggle the price to reduce that so you do have those resources, or you can hold off on it till you do have those resources in the future. So you have a new way to interact with your villagers. You can talk to them, you can cancel the request, and now you can trade resources with them. So this is something that you can initiate with your villagers anytime. Instead of just giving them an item, you can ask to trade items so that they can get something and you get something in return. So some villagers will only want to trade once a day. Some villagers are not going to want to budge with you though. They're going to be like, this is my offer and it is final, take it or leave it. You know, some of them will get really upset and maybe even lock their trades because you want to compromise on the price. But if it doesn't seem fair to you and they're unwilling to, maybe you don't want to talk to that villager that day anyway. Now, what about a villager initiating a barter with you? So what's going to happen is they're going to start this interaction by pinging you with a, hey, I want to talk. Like they're going to run up to you, and a villager is going to approach you and ask you to trade resources back for a specific item with a varying quantity that they pick out for you. So for an example, they're going to say, hey, I have a sea bass. How about trading for 10 oak wood? So your pockets are going to open up and you have the option to offer them a quantity of items to initiate a trade. You can change the item and say, hey, I'd rather offer you regular wood, not oak wood. That's precious wood for me. And you can haggle with them on that. You can also deny the request immediately. I really don't want to do this at all. You can just say no to that. You can hold off if you don't have that item yet, or you don't have the quantity of what they're looking for, or you can do the usual haggle to pay less oak wood than you want to give for that sea bass in return. I know that you so want that sea bass, you're just dying to have it. But if you do choose to barter with them for what they're requesting, you can simply give them what they asked for, and then you will get that item in return. Just a simple trade, just as it's been in Animal Crossing past. So nothing too different and complicated with that. It's just you do have a couple more options of, you know, offering them a different item or a quantity of items in return. All right, what are some general bartering items? What are the things that villagers are going to be looking for and that they're going to ask you for? We've got a large list of items to choose from. And just to mention, there are also one-to-one barter. So basically, this is how a normal trade would work. I'm going to trade you something with something of equal value. So for an example, a crafting recipe. Hey, I want a new crafting recipe today, a villager will tell you. Can I trade you this crafting recipe of a simple bench for my crafting recipe of a pumpkin stack, for an example? And so you guys can actually have a way of trading items for an equal and fair trade. So some of these resources that we're looking at today are natural resources like wood, stone, clay, etc. These are going to be stackable to 99 in the game. Now ores are going to be stackable to 10, and they want to trade those. Bugs and fish to 1 to 3 can be not necessarily stacked, but if you have multiple in your inventory, they're going to want them in a trade. Hey, can I have 3 Darner dragonflies, or can I have 3 sea bass? Now, I mentioned crafting, baking, and cooking recipes are a one-to-one trade, as well as food or drink items and clothing items. They will only want a one-to-one trade for those. Fruit can be stacked to 10. It can actually be stacked to a lot more in your inventory, but they will only ask for 10 at a time. Same with crops and sheared or regular flowers. And then craftable furniture and craftable items, they may ask for up to 3 of those, but typical amount will be 1 item that they'll be dying for that you'll have to help them out with. I hope that you found this episode very interesting when it comes to some brand new things, when it comes to villagers interacting with you, with bartering and with items in the town. This has been the Nintendident So We Did podcast. If you're interested in learning more about Animal Crossing Small Town Big City, check out this podcast here on YouTube, on Spotify, or on Apple Podcasts for more.